get your thoughts. The WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. You can also tweet at smooth981. We're also streaming live on our YouTube, so you can catch the live stream and you can even post a comment on that live stream as well. The channel is smooth981. That's youtube.com/smooth981. And the analysts are in this beautiful Friday morning. It's Amy Bozimo and Joseph Obari. Good morning and welcome.
Good
Good morning,
morning,
President
Zibby.
Zibby.
Good morning, Joseph.
Listeners.
And good morning to the wonderful listeners out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. There is a lot to speak about, but our first headline comes from Daily Trust this morning. And the headline says, Samoa agreement signed in Nigeria's interest. And this is according to the federal government. Joseph?
Yeah, I think that before this time, there's been some groups that have tried to make a whole lot of heavy wind out of the fact that some clauses in that agreement tend to promote LGBT interests and so that. So people raise concern that Nigeria was signing itself to a bind with this agreement. This agreement was actually reached between European Union countries and some regional bodies like Africa, Ocean Pacific countries, and so on. So in 2018, in Samoa, that's why it's called Samoa Agreement. It actually promotes economic development, social development, and all that. So these regional bodies tie up with agreements with EU at their regional levels. Now, what the federal government is simply saying is that it is not correct to say that signing that agreement binds Nigeria, ties Nigeria's hand to accept LGBTQ values that are contrary to the law existing. Because what the minister has explained is that it's not like they are forcing this agreement down your throat. You must accept every clause. So what the Nigeria agreed to is that any aspect of the agreement that is contrary to the constitution and laws valid. So any aspect, so it means that since we have a law that is against LGBTQ, that law, that aspect of the clause simply goes mute. So the anxieties being expressed by interest groups that are opposed to LGBTQ values is simply not founded. But what I expected was that all this should have come before now. When you're coming up, deciding to do this, the agreement was signed as far back as March. It is part of the communication is that you should come up with this information, the enlightenment, tell people what it says, all that. So all the time government catches up, just tries to catch up with what is happening. At the end of the day, you're on the back foot because people are advocating, already agitating that, oh, this is promoting LGBTQ, is being for Nigeria is being railroaded into doing something that it should not promote. So what the government, that's why you find that the angle from which the government is taking this, that, look, this agreement, like reassuring that our Christian values, our Muslim values, our values, which are expressed in this heterosexual orientation in Nigeria promoted is valid and is intact, and that it is not been subsumed by this agreement that we have entered into.
All right, so just curious. Okay, Amy, go ahead.
You know, the whole energy that we're putting into this, in my view, would be really wonderful if we put it into trying to ensure we have electricity in Nigeria. Sometimes I mean, I have the average conservative values of many people of my age and stage, so I'm not necessarily out there promoting this, but live and let live is pretty much my policy. And if that amount of agitation and all that went towards productive parts of our economy, I'm sure we would be able to make progress. The other thing is, this is just another of these bilateral signings. Don't we have 1,000 other frameworks for economic collaboration? I often wonder, and it's going to be reflected in the next story that I'm going to handle. We seem to have so many policies flying. Can we just stick on one and see it through? That's just my thinking. But that energy, use it for power.
All right, thank you, AB, for that. The WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. And you can also tweet at smooth981. Let's move on to the next headline. And this one comes from The Nation. Tinubu injects 2 trillion naira to stimulate the economy. AB?
Okay, the FG says it has injected 2 trillion into the economy to stimulate it. And this was said as part of an accelerated stabilization and investment plan. And the target is economic revival in the short term. You know, we have the PECC, Presidential Economic Coordination Council, which was inaugurated on March 27. Today is July 6th or whatever, 5th, 6th.
Fifth.
You have to ask, 5th, you have to ask yourself what has happened in the interim. Fine. It has a lot of heavy hitters in terms of economic activity in Nigeria, bankers, people like Dangote, all sorts of big names. And they're supposed to now roll out an economic plan to cover the next 6 months. There's money, 350 billion for health and social welfare, 500 billion for agriculture and food security, 500 billion for energy and power sector, and general business support of 650 billion. You know, at the same time, we are running about 3.5 budgets right now concurrently. Somehow, when I step back, it just looks like policy chaos. I don't know. I cannot sit down and say, this exactly is what we're doing. We roll out different things. Even on Monday, we talked about one. What was the latest one on Monday? Something about construction, economics. How many different acronyms does it take to screw in a light bulb? At the end of the day, it's not about all these policies. It's about making one of them actually the North Star and making it work. I have nothing against great ideas, but they should be subsumed within a general direction. We have monies Tinubu injects, where? From his pockets or from another set of loans? And at what point were these loans, approved? I just feel I'm hearing too many numbers, too many committees, too many initiatives, too many policy announcements, and not enough progress in real time. I am always the first to say that I recognize and know that there is a lag between the announcement of a policy and its ability to take effect. It's like planting a seed. You do not get the fruit on the day you plant the seed. I understand that. But you cannot in the same farm plant yam, cocoyam, beans, oranges. Come on, pick a fruit, pick a battle, and go for it. So this is good, I will say. If it stood alone, a 30-member committee constituted on March 27th, Presidential Economic Coordination Council. How does that square with the work of the economists in government, or are they working together? In what capacity are they going to be able to affect the economy of the nation? Is it because they are big financial stakeholders that they are called? I mean, I just have a number of questions about this. And at the end of the day, my takeaway is just another announcement that I cannot directly connect with pretty much anything else economically in the nation. And people are simply, they are saying they're trying to increase on-grid electricity from 4.5 to 6 gigawatts in 6 months, making essential medicines available at lower cost for 80 to 90 million Nigerians, a facility that will support the construction of additional 25,000 housing units. The program is expected to create 4.7 million and indirect jobs. Again, these are promises, these are announcements, these are initiatives, any of which I can applaud. But it just seems to enter this froth of word salad that is not necessarily nutritional for the nation. And I would like a clear policy about what we're doing, who is doing it, where we're going, and how. All of this is just adding more confusion. And within confusion, there's opportunity for too much corruption, which is one of the banes of Nigerian state right now.
All right, thank you, AB. Let's look at some of the messages we have
So
coming
through.
Sorry,
I just want to add that.
Yes, Joseph.
Yeah, I just want to say that this is a country where every single brilliant idea has never really worked. That's where the worry really is. It's not the churning out of brilliant ideas or policies with beautiful acronyms. You have had situations where you give loans, loans okay, for example, aspect of this money is for business, 150 million to give to billion, to give to business, give to cronies and concubines and mistresses and girlfriends. And the real sector that needs that support doesn't get it. At the end of the day, it has just ended on paper and the announcement. The real value doesn't come to the economy. That's where it really matters. That's where it really matters. And which was the B saying, how can we really make it really working? That's the question.
Let's see, a message from, well, this is saved as Hamzat. Hamzat says, Articles 2 and 27 of the agreement specifically deal with human rights protection as postulated by the West, and international laws once signed are binding on the signees. Therefore, it's incorrect to postulate that certain portions of the Samoa Agreement are not applicable in Nigeria. Joseph, I'm going to come to you. Is there any way on earth that a country's rules are deemed irrelevant to the international community when it comes to things like this?
No. Of course, even where you sign into, you domesticate international agreements, they cannot supersede your own ground norm. Our constitution cannot be obliterated by an agreement Nigeria enters into. And if this agreement, in particular, which is contractual, more or less, specifically says that we can only accept those parts that are relevant to us, then of course, nobody are they going to send UN task force to come and implement this agreement in Nigeria? So people just should really calm down. And if the government has a legal team, they've looked at this and said, look, and they couched that in such a way that it is not compulsory for you to accept parts of the agreement that are not binding on you. How many countries are even in Nigeria today? How much is Nigeria obeying human rights, which are enshrined in international agreements? You have African Charter, you have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. How much of it is Nigeria enforcing? So this should be guide for people who are just becoming very too sensitive over this and misinterpreting the law.
All right, thank you, Joseph, for that clarification. Izehi says, on the electricity matter, do you know that Univen has shut down academic activities because there has been no electricity on campus in 2024? It's shameful. Well, technically, it wasn't shut down because of the electricity. It was shut down because of the students who were protesting. Yes, but it still leads down that path. Anthony says, it's clearly written, we are not... Indeed, we are not ignorant of the devices of the devil. Why use your teeth to divide meat you'll not eat? Why go into any agreement with a system your law forbids? Okay, Joseph has just clarified this again. So I'm sorry, we're going to move on from that because we can't keep clarifying the same thing over and over again. Joseph has just clarified. All right. Next headline comes from a Daily Trust. Reps assure traditional rulers of constitutional role, LG autonomy. Joseph?
Well, I think what they I mean, ever since the constitution what they call the constituent assemblies, where they were writing the constitution, there had been agitation by traditional rulers that their roles should be enshrined in the constitution, and they seem to have hit PayPal that where you have a Tajuddin Abbas assuring them that in their amendment of the constitution, they are going to pay attention to ensure that the role of traditional rulers are included in the constitution. I don't have any problem with all these, acceptance of traditional rules, but right now, most of the traditional institutions are not as pure as they used to be. I mean, look at what's going on in Kano, for example. It's become like who can grab what, who can do what. You have multiplicity of stools. There are contentions. In fact, in my community, there have been years-long chieftaincy rank tussles over who is supposed to be and so on. When you now make this constitutional and it's there, and it's going to become like political appointment. And that's the danger. We've even seen governors who are politicizing the roles of traditional rulers. So there are dangers, and we can actually sit down and be friends. It's not just on the surface saying, yeah, we're going to, what exactly are you going to say about that? And how can you ensure that it is healthy, it's based on the customs, so it protects the customs of the people, and it cannot be hijacked by politicians as it's been done already. So that's where the danger lies. It's beautiful to say because they play a role. In fact, in some places, the traditional rulers have a real firm grip on their people, and they can, whatever they tell their people, they listen, and so on. So it has some benefits. But those other areas, those areas of concern, have to be very clearly spelled out. What should be the relationship between the state and the traditional institution? It should be clearly defined. Protection of the customs of people that bring about who ascends the throne should be clearly protected so that it is clean and it's kind of shielded from the influence of governors who hijack virtually every day. They've hijacked the local government, they're not letting it go. You put the traditional rulers, almost because what the constitution is going to do is like more or less make them answerable to governors, and there's a risk there.
All right, thank you, Joseph, for that. Now, coming back to this issue, you just spoke about the role of the traditional rulers, and we've seen in certain communities, in fact, it's all around Nigeria, specifically, I'm going to say the South, where it does seem like there's little or no respect for these cultural leadership institutions. Has that played a role in the breakdown of society in any way?
Oh, seriously. I mean, I worked a bit, I worked for some time in Delta State. And in that place, for example, we find a situation where you have, they have what they call community.
Joseph, it's hard for us
Development
to hear you.
committees. They actually
Okay,
took over
now
the
we can
roles
hear you.
of the traditional
Okay, it seems
rulers
like the signal is
because they
not too
believe
great.
that, in fact, they sublime. Okay, so in the, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now. If you could please
Okay.
respond.
Yeah, okay. So I was saying that, yeah, in some communities, particularly in the southern part, this region, Niger Delta in particular, there have been erosion of the powers of traditional rulers in some communities. And simply because of the effect of oil exploration and the funds that are associated with oil exploration, most community youths believed that the traditional rulers were benefiting from those interfaces to the detriment of their communities. And they virtually just shoved aside their leaders. And in some cases, in some communities in Delta, there was serious bloodshed over the role of the traditional rulers. In Uzere, for example, they burned down the house of their chief and their paramount ruler just because of this. And maybe these are the things I think that should be addressed. If you're protecting these institutions, make sure you are writing the part of the Constitution in such a way that it protects them. It creates some kind of halo around them and sanctity of the customs of the people. Then they'll be more empowered. But as I said, the political angle and has to be very, very carefully looked into.
Yes, AB.
In fairness, there have been two sides, at least, to the story. In some cases, unfortunately and allegedly, some of the traditional rulers have interfaced with organizations, got money, and refused to let it spread into the community, allegedly. Then in some other cases, those leaders have insisted that those monies be brought and expended in the community. So the thing is that a leader who sees himself as leading the people will do the proper thing. But in some cases, you see those traditional leaders and other leaders, political too, living high on the hog, and the people are impoverished. That is where that disrespect stems from, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you, AB. Deji says the president is running a palliative economy, creating means for scavengers to continue to feed. Injecting trillions of naira into the economy will not solve the basic problem. Rather, it will continue to enrich the elites at the detriment of the masses. And another message, this is from Dan Okuda. Dan Okuda says, I agree with your analyst that there's not been proper coordination of the economic direction of the present government. The policies have been quite discordant. And let's move on to the next headline. This one comes from The Guardian. JAMB clamps down on fake diploma certificates for university admission. AB?
Okay, there's a term that many of our listeners may not even know. It's called A-level. People like me, I went to school at the time before the famous 6-3-3-4 system. So you had from 1 to 5, and then there were 2 years after that where you do your lower sixth and upper sixth before you could enter university. Some people went into university from Form 5, others did their upper sixth and went into university. The upper sixth allowed you to enter what they call direct entry. You could enter, I think, 200 level, but for us from Form 5, you could only enter 100 level. Now, with the 6-3-3-4 system, the A level is no longer accommodated in Nigeria. I suspect, though it wasn't said explicitly, that some people coming from foreign countries with the same A level are now trying to enter universities in Nigeria with the A level. And they are finding, the authorities are finding that a number of those A level certificates that are presented have been seen to be fake. So they have the policy, no certificate, no admission. And while people are saying, oh, this might be negative to the people, they say the overall policy is that no more than 10% of the students entering university should enter with A-level. Now, if you don't enter with A-level, you have to go through UTME, I think what we call JAM. And they are saying some people are bringing forth certificates. So I think at the end of the day, what is needed and what is suggested and proposed is a centralized clearinghouse for verification of these things. Have you ever tried to get your transcript from a Nigerian university to be sent to somewhere else? It is almost like pulling, it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
The problem is we are so cloistered for the wrong reasons. Somebody who has gone through your school should be able to communicate with the school and get information sent in an authorized manner. But it's always so complex and complicated. This is now stepping to the next level down, which is at the secondary school into university level. We simply need more light on these organizations so that truly, if you present a certificate, it can be verified with minimal difficulty. That will become a deterrent because I certainly would not submit a fake certificate if I knew that at literally the touch of a button with authorized communication, the certificate can be verified or controverted. And it's just a matter of us getting off this as secrecy. There's a whole lot of secrecy for no reason if we got off that mentality. But indeed, nobody should get admission with a fake certificate. And if they can set up that centralized clearinghouse, then it will be better. And it will help make sure that people who are entering universities are qualified. It's very terrible. You hear somebody has done the whole university, then at the graduation point, they say the certificate was fake. The person knew, but they thought they were trying to get through it. We have a crisis in education. A lot of people use what they call sorting, and they get into school. Even the exam they're doing is fake. So we have a problem because tomorrow, those who are qualified as architects, lawyers, doctors may not actually have the correct qualifications. And what will happen to us as a society is better imagined than experienced.
All right.
So
thank
I
you.
just want
Yes.
to take on that. My take is simply that I think that JAM simply just admitted to a failure of his system. That's what they did. Because if you could be admitting people without verification for years, for decades, and you just wake up now, because you just tried a little bit of effort, you find so many things that are wrong already. So something is wrong with the system, and our systems it's very simple with technology. Most of this can be taken care of. Just technology, applying technology at different levels of institutions can solve these mysteries.
All right, Deji says JAM has been jammed. It's as a result of pressure on paper certificates. Abbas says all of this brouhaha started in the caption by print media that should have known the sensitivity of what they were posting, but then we all know what we're doing. We hope that we don't make things worse in this country because we want to sell papers and generate funds. And our people don't even take time to find out certain things before jumping on whatever headlines they read. God help us. Let us know your thoughts. The WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. And this message from Ajayi says, I think it only makes sense to give our traditional rulers a constitutional role in the affairs of the community they rule over. This will fill the vacuum created by the absence effective of administration at the community level. We're moving on to The Nation. Court affirms Amehule, 24 others as Rivers lawmakers. Joseph?
I think this is a very, 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 very mischievous headline. I must say almost all the newspapers running this kind of headline. Affirms. Now, what's happened is that the pro-Fubara group in the House of Assembly, Okojaja, they went to court in the River State House of High Court to say they should declare that these people are not, their seats are vacant, they are no longer members of the assembly and so on. And they used an ex parte motion to achieve that. And the court means ex parte means it's only one party. The other party was now invited to the court to defend it, to argue the matter. And the court granted it and said these people are no longer members of the assembly and so on. So they are not recognized as members anymore based on section 109 1G of the Constitution, which especially says that once you defect from your political party that brought you to the House of Assembly, you automatically lose your seat. Now, the pro-Wike Amewule group went to appeal this matter to the Court of Appeal, which now has passed its judgment and is simply saying that the action of the State High Court in Port Harcourt was null and void because it does not have jurisdiction. In fact, in law, one of the first things a judge checks first and foremost when a matter is brought to is, do I have jurisdiction over this matter? And it's more honorable, just honorable to say, I don't have jurisdiction. I can't take this, man. You wash your hands off it and let it go. But we've seen that what's happening is what we call forum shopping by politicians. They seek for judges who can do their bidding. It was politically expedient for Fubara at that time because of the kind of situation he finds himself, to find a convenient way to deal with this. So at least for some time, he's bought some time and he got what is done. We can argue, the Court of Appeal has said, but the substantial matter, the substantive matter is whether those members, those 24 members, 25 members are actually still members of the House of Assembly, based on the provisions of the Constitution, section 1091G. Now, interestingly, I'm sure the Fubara group knew that this matter will end this manner. So there's another case, challenging the continuous existence of this group of people in the House of Assembly. There is a case before the Federal High Court, which this judgment has said has the jurisdiction based on section 272 of the Constitution. Fine. So it is not yet to Uhuru. That case is still before, it's just been reassigned last week to a new judge of the Federal High Court to hear and deal with. So the dynamics of what's playing in Rivers State, yeah, there are implications. Every party both parties are celebrating. The Amewule group, they are saying, yeah, we are now back to the House of Assembly. We are not being sacked and so on. But the interpretation of the provision of the Constitution is still before the court. So there is a case brought by one party called Boot Party, which is filed before the Federal High Court, demanding that these people's seats should be declared vacant based on section 109 of the Constitution, 1091G. So it is not yet Uhuru. I mean, but then, of course, there are dynamics to the whole of this, how it's going to play, how Fubara is going to use it, how Amewule is going to use it. But one thing you should be sure is that there are going to be fireworks based on this decision.
AB?
At the heart of all of this, regrettably, I do not hear about the very ordinary Rivers State resident. It is exceedingly wealthy individuals arguing and fighting among themselves over matters that are relatively esoteric to the rest of us, because light, water, gari, etc., ordinary people like us don't have. And so while I understand the place and importance of politics as part of the fabric of a nation and a state, it's regrettable that these arguments between them are not about, oh, we want every child from 0 to 5 to have free education. No, let them pay until they're in university, then we'll give them free scholarships. Oh no, let everybody let me have the arguments that say, okay, in this district, because it's industrial, we should have power between morning and 4 p.m. And in that area, no, it has nothing to do with ordinary people. It's this, that, and I love law. I'm married to a lawyer, but God, you guys' language is complicated. As the next story, which I have 1 minute to take, will say, they avoided Ighodalo's candidacy.
Yes, AB, let's just go into that.
Why are our political processes so complex? Oh, there was a primary. It didn't produce. It was, look, why is politics so indescribably complicated? Must it really be? If it is for the people, if I enter my kitchen right now to make a pot of soup, honestly, there are certain components and there's fire and there's my mediocre skill. At the end of the day, I won't kill myself. The soup will come out. How come the politics can't be as straightforward as that? There are entirely too many intricacies that are, at the end of the day, not helping the ordinary Nigerian. That's all I say about all of this. I never claim to have the knowledge like people like Joseph know about this part of the constitution, but it need not be this complex if it really is intended to benefit the people. That's all I'm thinking.
Now, Joseph, we almost out of time, but over the past few months, there have been so many incidents where one court that doesn't have the jurisdiction to rule actually does go on, and then another one overrules it. Should there be some sort of punishment for things like this?
It is embarrassing, to say the least. The NBA, which is the parent body for all lawyers.
Joseph, we can't hear you.
I mean, first of all, a judge, a magistrate, or anything else. So they are actually all. I don't know. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. My internet is very unstable today. So I was saying that it's embarrassing to the legal profession, and even the NBA is terribly worried about what's going on. The NJC has the power to sanction judges, and we expect that by now, from all these things that are coming up, they should begin to weigh down heavily on judges or justices who are misbehaving, because it is totally unacceptable. Take the Kanu case, for example. I mean, the Court of Appeal has actually told 2 judges to get off a panel set up by the government. This is what you should do. You should just recluse yourself, say, Governor, Mr. Governor, I can't do this work for you. But they accept it because the influence of politicians is so strong on our judicial system.
I want to ask a question, but I don't want to put you. Okay, go ahead, Joseph. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's so bad now that the politicians are pushing their family members into positions in the judiciary, and that's how the most dangerous part of it.
This is a difficult question I want to ask Joseph, and maybe I should ask AB because you're a lawyer, and I don't want to put you on the spot so much. But is the judiciary still truly independent?
Okay,
the external non-legal qualified answer would be it does not appear so. But
perfect.
I don't have the insights to be able to objectively state. But just looking as a non-trained person in law, it raises a lot of questions. And you see, you can imagine a judge who decides to be honorable like that. They won't build him a house because that's the work, to be building judges' houses up and down, left and right, up and down. So if he decides not to do it, maybe he would be the only one who's a homeless judge at the end of the day. So you understand the pressures, but that's on a slightly lighter note.
Yeah, so the truth simply is that, the judiciary in terms of structure is independent. It's even been strengthened now. The independence is strengthened now under this new dispensation than some of the changes that have been made. But the operation and the people those who people the judiciary are giving cause for concern. And it's not all of them. In fairness, we cannot say it's
not all of them, not at all.
Are under this influence. But a few bad ones are totally under the grip of the executive arm of government.
All right, let's look at a few messages really quickly. Deji says the Nigerian judiciary is always, he said, judiciary is always the winner whenever there is a political crisis. Shegun says, I hope Fubara doesn't angrily send bulldozers to destroy the River State Court. So what is left of the State House of Assembly? Deji says, on policies that take us nowhere, it's baffling how the government has ignored the agricultural sector. The minister should be the one agitating for development of that sector. That's all the time that we have. Thank you for listening. Thanks for your messages. And of course, special thanks to our analysts for joining us this morning, AB Bozimo and Joseph Obari. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
It's been wonderful on the show. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday.
Yeah, all the best, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy yourselves. Is it, Zibby?
Yes,
Stay dry,
thank
Zibby.
you.
Stay dry, Zibby. I hear Lagos is quite
It's
interesting.
you're swimming
Mother
in
Nature
Lagos.
is giving us a little sun, so we're grateful for that.
Okay.
Thank goodness. Stay
Thank
dry, all
you.
listeners. Bye.
Do stay
Bye.
with us. There is a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast. Thank you. Bye.
All righty. Bye.